Hey there, artsy friends. Welcome to my second composition notebook art journal series. So I have already started on these pages, and this is the first time I'm not doing a 2-page spread. I did a page the other day with some masking tape, and then I kind of arranged the masking tape grid leftover pieces on this page on the right here, and then used extra paint that was left on a paint palette to smear paint on the left. So I was thinking about covering up the masking tape, but I just kind of want to leave it as it is. And some pages in your art journal can be that simple. So I am just playing around with squares, and I want to do a Bible verse today. So I'm going to write the verse in sections in words in the squares and line them up that way. So that's how I'm going to start. My verse is from 1 Thessalonians. It's from chapter 5, verse 15. See that no one repays evil for evil, but always seek to do good to one another and to everyone. So that's including your friends and your not so good friends. So I have an old Bible that I dug out of a Goodwill bin that was destined for destruction. So I'm using the pages in that, and I figured I would rip out the pages with that verse on them. And now I'm creating a little pattern for petals. So I'm going to make a little flower out of the Bible page. And making this little petal template just helps keep it uniform, kind of easy to make sure I don't have super wonky flower. I mean, you could make a wonky flower if you want. It would be very whimsical and fun, but this is like just a really easy way to make your flower petals. And I just used a piece of cardstock. So the white that you see below my art journal is just a piece of poster board. And I use that to protect my table, which I don't really have a nice table, but I don't know. That way, if it gets all marked up, I can get a new one if I want. And then I cut up the poster board and use it for other purposes. Okay, now that I have all my petals cut out, I'm just kind of arranging everything. I'm going to draw a stem and make some leaves that will come off of the stem. And one way to make that symmetrical really easily is by drawing my little template, and then I just flip it over. So now they're perfectly symmetrical, if that's your thing. And then as you trace onto a piece of paper, if it matters to you, you can place them on the page so that the words line up in the direction that you want them to. So I did it so that they were kind of, the words are still flowing horizontally. Kind of did that with most of my petals. I flipped that one around because I was like, oh, I turned it over and said something about trumpets, and we celebrate the feasts, and so we just had trumpets the other day, and so I put that on there. I'm just going to use my Posca markers to define my petals a little bit more, add just a little bit of color. I want it to be subtle because I like having the petals look like book pages, but I wanted to add just a little bit of color. So I thought it would make things a little simpler just drawing in my stem as opposed to cutting out another book page to make the stem. So I'm just using this Posca marker. I don't know what I did before Posca markers. My goodness. Actually, I did use acrylic markers before I invested in Posca, but they were like the cheap kinds that I got from Temu, which they worked pretty well when I was getting started. And I still have some, still use some of them, but I usually forget because Posca markers flow so well that they're just kind of your go-to tool. There, isn't that my flower cute? So now I'm going to start putting down my verse here, and I want it to look like it's kind of hanging down. And so, before I do that, I'm going to give it a little bit more contrast by outlining the edge in pink. Oh, look how quick I was. I did the whole thing and I glued it down. So now I'm going to go in with a really thin, fine line black marker, and I'm going to outline each square and then kind of connect them. So I'm imagining like almost like a mobile hanging from the ceiling, hanging from the top of my page with my verse, my words dangling down. So I thought my flower needed to pop off the page just a little bit more. I have this feeling like I'm scrapbooking. Like I started scrapbooking because someone who my husband knew when we got married, I didn't know any of his friends. Like we met in August, were engaged in October, and married in February. And I had just moved to a new state, and he had only lived there, gosh, I don't know, pretty short time. So when I went back to the Chicago area and met his friends, he had a kind of a lifelong friend who was a scrapbook consultant. And so she gave me this book, and I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? So I put some pictures in it, and then I was like, oh, there's some stickers, and then I found this store where I lived that had sold scrapbook supplies, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, this is fun. So I did paper scrapbooking for a couple of years, and then I had babies. I had twins, and when my twins were babies, I was like, this scrapbooking thing is just not going to happen. And so I actually went digital and loved it. I really found that I still got the same satisfaction creatively with doing digital scrapbooking, and I still do it. We have 20 albums, 20 years of, well, my oldest is 18, so I have 18 years of digital scrapbooks. And then teaching a class about a year and a half ago for kids at a homeschool co-op, I started experimenting with art journaling, and it kind of like reawoken that tactile, playful, creative desire in me. So here I am. But anyway, this page just kind of makes me feel a little bit nostalgic of, I don't know why. It's maybe because it's a little bit more like organized, less like completely abstract like I usually do. I don't know. I've been really trying to experiment with a lot of different things, and every new thing I see, I want to try. So I thought the background was a little bit too boring, but I didn't want to make it too busy either. So I am just adding little white dots, some little tiny ones and some bigger ones, and shading in my flower just a little bit with pink. So that's pretty much my page. I hope that you enjoyed watching my process and that you're inspired. Oh, there's the other page. So you have to kind of look at them separately. Oh, and I kind of wish I wouldn't have gotten paint on that other side, but I did. So life goes on. So thank you again for watching, and I hope that you come back and hang out with me again. Have a blessed day.